Welcome to Digital Marketing for Contractors, a podcast for home improvement contractors to help you crush your lead goals and take your business to the next level. Join us each episode as we give you powerful insights and practical tips on the best digital marketing strategies to help you grow your home improvement business. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Digital Marketing for Contractors, the podcast where we help you work smarter, market better, and close more jobs. My name is Janet Mobley.
And I'm Caitlyn Noble. We work with home improvement contractors all over the country. And one thing we know is your marketing can be amazing, but if you don't respond to leads quickly, you are leaving money on the table.
Absolutely. That is the God's honest truth. And that is why today's episode is a big one, and we're really excited about it. We are talking about speed to lead and how to make sure that no opportunity slips through the cracks. Today, our guest is Maddy Martin. She is the Senior Vice President of Growth at Smith.ai, a company that helps contractors capture, qualify, and convert more leads through live receptionist, chat, text, and more. Maddy, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Maddy. So for listeners who haven't heard of Smith.ai yet, give us your one sentence pitch. You can give several sentences. What do you guys do?
Yeah,
and
what's your elevator speech?
How do you help?
Well, we are a customer engagement platform. So we help you connect with leads to convert them and to have great existing relationships with your clients.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was snappy. That's better than my 30-second speech.
30 minutes.
It is. So we at Fat Cat, we focus on generating leads for home improvement contractors. So we're running the SEO campaigns, PPC campaigns, sweepstakes contests, all kinds of stuff. And so then Smith.ai comes in to make sure that those leads actually turned into booked appointments. That's why we're excited about today's conversation, because it's such a natural fit. So I'll just tell you what we see. And I mean, it's been an ongoing source of frustration for us. And I'll just be honest about it. Contractors come to us. They ask us, how can I generate leads? We have all these conversations to answer that question. How are we going to help them generate leads? We set about launching campaigns. We do that. We generate leads. And then those jokers don't answer the phone.
It's thousands of dollars spent.
I mean, I'm not joking at all. And we know it because we put call tracking software on our clients' websites, and we can listen to the recording.
I think that's how we found you guys.
Yeah, right?
Converts.
What converts.
Yep, exactly. Because they work together.
I didn't know how we found you. Caitlyn does all the hard stuff here at Fat Cat. I just show up. Not half drunk, but kind of.
I love a good integration. We're fast friends.
So I don't know how we found you, but yes, we have what converts. We do call tracking. We listen to the recordings, and it is such a source of stress for these contractors who honestly, like, they're shooting themselves in the foot. Where spending all this money with an agency, or they're doing it on their own. They make the phone ring, and then they don't have that staffed. So explain how you come in. How do you help solve this problem?
Well, even before, I explain how we come in, I like to frame the picture as like, handing people ice cream cones, and they just sit with it until it melts all over their hands, and you're just staring at them saying like, have you never seen ice cream before? Like, know that it melts, right? And you're just incredulous. Like, that's the feeling that you get when you see leads wasted. Like, we know that there's a timer on these things, right? That they have an expiration date.
And I love this metaphor. It is a sticky mess. If
you're not licking it up off the pavement, I mean, I don't think you are. So nobody wants a dirty lead, right? So those leads are far gone. They've called your competitors, and that competitor picked up the phone, and they won the business because they picked up the phone. And what's most frustrating is that you're better at it than your competitors. And you should have gotten that business, and you could earn a 5-star review, but you didn't even get the opportunity because you missed the window. right?
Absolutely.
And that's what's most frustrating. And the problem is you can't point any fingers other than to your own business, because you have to make the right decisions to succeed, right? You have to prioritize it, because sometimes these businesses are making enough money where it's not painful enough and they can sweep it under the rug, or they just get out the hose and they get rid of the ice cream on the pavement and they say like it never even happened, right? Because you didn't know, you didn't have that full feeling of eating anything. All right, so I didn't have ice cream, no big deal. But when it happens over and over and over and you see the dollars wasted, you know, if you're willing to look at the dollars wasted, then you can get in touch with the problem. If you're unwilling to look at it, then you're never going to be in touch with the problem. You're just going to look at the business you do have and have tunnel vision, have the blinders on. And that's the problem, is you need to sit down and actually look at the problem. And then we can talk about how Smith.ai can solve it by answering your calls, by, you know, scheduling and taking on the actions that happen on a call to forward that business. It's not just glorified voicemail. You're not just having a live person answer and take a message. We're talking about screening leads to make sure they're a good fit. We're talking about scheduling appointments. We're talking about getting that information directly into your CRM with no manual data entry, like all of those things. But you can't get to that point unless you're willing to look at the problem.
I'm really glad that you made a distinction that it's not just throwing a body at it. We have had customers who I honestly don't know like what their process is when they've looked for some of these vendors that answer their phones. But I've honestly and they're hardworking contractors. They're hardworking, growing contractors. They've maybe never had somebody in-house who's been able to be, you know, a call center manager. And so then the first step, what we see is we see them go from like the owner operator who's doing all the sales and all the calls was going to his cell phone. At a certain point, that pain becomes so great that they'll, and Caitlyn, maybe you know this, they'll go hire some answering service. And that answering service may also be answering phones for a dentist. And when we listen to the recordings through What Converts, we hear somebody go, well, I don't actually work for Bob's Roofing. I can't answer any of your questions about gutters, windows, because I don't work for that guy. I'm the answering service. We've literally heard them say that. So I was so glad you brought up the distinction that's not what you do, correct?
It's all about no. I mean, how can you run a business in this day and age of just, you know, doing some cookie cutter approach, taking a message? You're basically just throwing the hot potato on the other side of the fence. Like, you didn't add anything to that conversation. You're just getting it over to them with a little bit of hand holding. And it's like when you go to a nice restaurant and you can tell that someone's put the food on the plate with tweezers, you're like, well, it doesn't taste any different. It tastes like a potato. Why did it take you so long to make it? Right. So like, we don't always want the Michelin starred menu. Sometimes you just have to eat. So why does it take so much fiddling when you didn't really make an improvement? The point I'm trying to make is that the cost of these services warrants doing work on that call. And if you're not getting work done, then you should evaluate how much you're really getting for your money. And Smith.ai is not cheap, right? Like, we are never going to be the cheapest solution, but that is because we are based on ROI. We're based on building value for your business, making sure that that call that's scheduled on your calendar, that new potential lead, is well qualified, a good use of your time, which is your most precious resource.
Yes.
And that we're not going to kick the can down the road and waste your time, not now, but another time. It's like you're just pushing that decision off to the business owner at the end of the day. We want to be making decisions so that we leave you with the bigger order decisions, right? Those higher order decisions that only you can make, right? And you need to empower that vendor, that contractor that you've said, okay, answer my calls.
Right.
You have the answers to those FAQ, to have the scheduling link, you know, whether it's Calendly or Acuity or whatever system you're using, you need them to have access to either your schedule or a person who's going to be available to book at any given moment, right? If you're a big enough business to have a scheduling team. And then they're only getting those well-qualified leads if you're sending them to the scheduling team, right? You could do payments on the phone. You could do all this stuff. You can make sure that they're going to be around at the right time tomorrow for the on-site estimate, whatever it is. But you need to make sure that it's a well-qualified buyer, because you don't want to kick that can down the road.
No. And we've mentioned at the top of this about speed to lead and how important that is. I know, if you're a contractor and you're listening to this and you're new to the industry, you're going to get burned really fast if you don't have that down. And a lot of people don't understand that window. Is there a stat you guys usually play off of that's, important for how, quickly you should respond before a lead goes cold?
Yes. I mean, so you need to answer every single phone call, and then it's on you to screen that call if it's worth your business, right? Like that it is as close to 100% as it can possibly be. Right. And it is possible now with solutions like Smith.ai, right? Exactly. Like there's no reason for you to say like, I don't have access to that, right? So what you want is to know that 70% of new leads are going to make their decision to hire based on a response to the first call or email. Absolutely. Meaning they are going to hire the first business that picks up the phone or responds to that web form fill with a callback, right? Yes. So it needs to be instantaneous to get that business, because just think about it. Like anytime you've had work done at your house, you've taken time off from your day. Let's say that you are extending your lunch break, or you ate a really quick lunch so that you can go through, your referrals and Google reviews and whatever ads you've seen. And you're like, okay, these are the 5 businesses that I'm going to call, right? So you carve out that time. And you're just going to go down the list until you get someone, because you've already gotten those referrals. You've already evaluated it at a surface level.
That's right.
So if you don't pick up the phone as the business, you are guaranteed to be too late when you finally get around to it, tomorrow or the next day or never, right? And most leads never get followed up with. So it is actually to your great advantage to up-level your business in this way, because many of your competitors are not doing a good job. So if you just do a better job than they're doing by answering every call, then you can do, 2 different things. One, you can say, look, we're a little bit different than so-and-so. Like, because we can answer all these calls, we really want to take these high value jobs. We're only going to take these high value jobs from now on, because we've figured out our call answering. We get so much call volume that we can be choosy now, because we actually can make decisions on what business we want to take. And then those small ones, guess what? Give them to that other friend that you've got who's an acquaintance at another company, or, some distant relative, or someone who you respect who just happens to work at somewhat a competitive business, but they want to stay, with small residential, and you're going into big commercial or bigger residential, right? Like they don't have the capacity. Give them those little jobs, right? And they're going to give you the bigger jobs that they can't handle, right? And you start to have a relationship where there's no waste, right? And even if you don't make that referral, it's still a member of your community. So you might think, well, why would I answer every call? A number of these calls are not relevant to my business. Right. That's another thing that we hear. Well, it's a waste of my time. Well, it's not your time if you're outsourcing it. And second of all, every single call that they handle is valuable, because it's data that you can give back to your agency around how what leads are coming in, what channels are most valuable, using tools like What Converts. And then there's still members of your community. So even if the receptionist says, you're not actually a good fit for the clientele that we serve, I'm so sorry, but here's a list of businesses, or here's a resource that might be helpful to you, or here's a list of questions that you should be asking contractors that we can send you a text or email with those questions as a follow-up. Then you might still get a 5-star review just because of the service that you gave to that caller, even if they don't become a customer. So you really have to think about that as your interaction with the community and your brand as the face of your business, and not just like, oh, they're a waste of my time.
Wow, you hit on a lot of really good topics there. I mean, I love the visual image of somebody in a day job. They've got a salad at their desk. They've got 45 minutes to find somebody to fix a problem at their house or make an upgrade that they're willing to spend a lot of money on. So if I'm this like hypothetical person sitting at my desk with my salad, and I've got 45 minutes before I'm walking into an afternoon full of meetings, and then when I leave and I go home, if I've got kids, I'm busy at home. And then the weekend, I'm busy. So if you are not answering my call in that 45-minute window, when I call, you can call me back all day long, but I've moved on to something else.
So that was the window.
Yeah, the window is closed. I'm now in 3 meetings then I'm going to a soccer practice, then I've got to get dinner on the table. Don't even bother to call me back. Some other things that you said, this whole thing of like, it's a waste of time if we've got inbound calls that are asking for repairs and we don't do small repairs. We've actually had customers who've used data like that through their own internal resources. Maybe they're not using a call center, where if they see a huge volume of calls for a type of job that they don't currently offer, they've used that as like a lab, a sandbox of like, maybe you should do repairs. Maybe you should hire a repair team. Is that when you're partnering with your customers?
Yeah.
How do you bring some of that data back to them to show them like trends and questions that they're getting from inbound calls that maybe they're blind to because they had a preconceived notion of the type of calls they wanted to get? Are you having those conversations, and what do they sound like?
Absolutely are. I mean, part of the reason for the money back guarantee at Smith.ai is because we know that there are a lot of businesses that come in, they initially estimate their caller types and their call volume as one set of information, right? And what is reality is a little bit different. There's actually a few different caller types. There's a few different qualification steps that maybe that business took for granted. It's so second nature. They didn't have really well documented processes. So during onboarding, it's sort of, by the seat of their pants, or they tried to document it, but it was just an hour or a week before the onboarding call. And they didn't have a lot documented before then. So they're still doing it sort of in the moment, right? And it's like, if you ask a short order cook, they're only going to be able to come up with so many things for the ingredients that are right in front of them, right? So once you start to have those calls come through, we can say, well, these are really the calls that are coming through that we don't have very clear instructions for. We didn't anticipate them. We handle these instructions. We'll make recommendations, both AI and the live agents, with feedback that we see from.
Hey, Maddy.
Yes.
We had a weird glitch.
Oh, okay.
So we're probably going to have to edit that out. So if we could go back, you said
you were cook.
You were like, okay, when you do the onboarding, they have like a preconceived notion of what kind of calls they're going to get. And then you see the reality and you start to square that up. I don't know how you want to pick that up, but it just went all.
You could even start. Yeah, that was just a great.
Yeah.
I'll start over. Like you're scripting that, that you bring that like, hey, you guys didn't offer this to us, but now, okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the main reasons why we offer the money back guarantee period, because we have this learning process where you're up and running very quickly. I mean, a day or two with Smith.ai, but we have the money back guarantee in place because we know there's a learning process that happens. So there are certain caller types. There's a certain level of call volume that we expect when we go through onboarding with you. And we evaluate your, primary reasons why callers reach your business, right? And we have answers and processes that we put in place for exactly those caller types. But reality is a little bit different, oftentimes because what you've documented for your onboarding process with Smith.ai is sometimes just before the onboarding has happened. So my encouragement to you as a side note is to document things right now, if you're listening to this, before you have to offload that work. Right. So document and then delegate. That's way easier than trying to do both at the same time. But what happens is we start to get calls, and then whether it's AI answering or our live agents, we have a QA process. Yeah. So we pick up on those calls that are out of the ordinary or that we don't have clear instructions for, and we immediately flag that to our clients and say, can you help us better respond to this type of caller? What's the answer to this question we keep getting? Because we need to do a good job of that in order to retain your business long-term. We have an incredible, rate of retention at Smith.ai. And a lot of that has to do with how we are monitoring.
I mean, for our listeners, if our listeners are staffing this in their office, in their location, it's their business hours. It's Monday through Friday, maybe an occasional Saturday. You just hit on like, it's midnight. Is this?
Oh, it's 24/7. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
As soon as you get it like your answering service in place, your customer engagement platform in place, then you should be updating your hours on Google, Yelp, everywhere.
It's your 24-hour business.
Absolutely, because you can respond 24/7. I mean, if you're actually in a business that should be 24/7, like an emergency locksmith, and you're not, you probably shouldn't say 24/7. But I don't think anyone expects.
Or like an emergency plumber and somebody's ceiling's about to cave in, but you're in the bed. You don't say you're 24/7.
Right. I mean, like, you know, between home contractors, lawyers that we've worked with, financial advisors, you know, they know that their clients don't expect them to actually be operational 24/7, but it means that you can get that phone call when everyone else is closed, that there's someone who's going to answer, because in almost no business, you know, is someone expecting an immediate solution right then. They just want to lock in a solution for a later time, right? Like when I call a roofer, trying to get them out for an estimate, I don't think they're going to fix my roof that day, right?
Or that night.
Arrive from Mars. So, you know, that expectation with the right clientele is already going to be baked in. But the 24/7 hours on your Google profile makes complete sense, because then you skip the line. Maybe you're even third ranked in those businesses, that list that they're saying, but you just became number one because you're open, right?
Right.
That's amazing. What about other integrations, like CRM wise, other automated follow-ups? I mean, does Smith.ai integrate?
Yeah. How do you play with those tools?
How do you play?
We play so well with those tools. We're like the most popular kid in the sandbox or playground or wherever, you know.
We're happy with what converts. I mean, that's a huge sign. Yeah.
Well, what converts is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think why you like what converts is because it represents not just a CRM.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like so we integrate directly natively with a lot of CRMs and other tools. Obviously, we can use scheduling platforms because, you know, we've been doing that for a decade now. But what's really cool is that we also have integrations with Zapier and Make and N8N and things like that, so that whatever your solution is, as long as you can connect up with one of those tools, then we can hook into it, either inbound or outbound.
That's amazing. I mean, I feel like we could talk forever. I do want to hear some quick, like, real results. Case study example of a contractor who saw a big jump in book jobs after working with you guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many. There's a hardscaping company that I can think of. They were a husband-wife team who were growing their business and had a baby at the same time. So no matter how much energy they wanted to expend, they could not like do that and, you know, keep this child alive, right? So let alone them to feed themselves, but they had to feed this baby, right? And they came to us like, you know, like a lot of businesses sort of past the point when they should have started raising their hand and waving things around, but we helped them, and it was just an immediate change. I think the stat that they shared with us is just one booked appointment actually paid for the entire month of Smith.ai. So, I mean, many-fold ROI increase there. Like, you get your money back immediately. It's more, I think there's that immediate shock of like, wow, I was missing a lot of business, and wow, I was not serving my clients who were calling to check in or want an update or looking for the quote that we promised them. Well, you're behind on all sorts of things, and all that gets settled when you just have your front lines handled. You know, it just gives you room to breathe. Yeah. But that's really also that intangible, like, quality of life impact that happens for, I think, not just families that are really in a make or break situation where they've got a brand new baby, but also plenty of other situations where you're just stressed. You just want to be home for dinner. You know, you don't want to work after dinner. You don't want to worry about your guys burning out because, you know, they've just been on too many jobs back to back and no one can get a break. Like, the ROI is clear, but also it's that quality of life that we really care about giving our clients.
So the example you just gave was a husband and wife team. I imagine that's still a relatively small business, healthy business, but still small. Mm-hmm. What does an ideal customer look like for you guys in terms of size, their maturity, the software they have in place, the systems that they have in place?
That's a really good question. It is a little bit bigger than that. We are not going to turn anyone away because they're small and they're just getting going, because we were all there at some point, right?
Yeah, right.
But ideally, you're a little bit bigger. You've got sometimes multiple locations that you're starting to manage, and you need to be much clearer with your logistics and your processes, because that person who was just running one location and could overhear a conversation or be right on top of someone to train them can no longer be in two places at once. So that's where things really start to break, if they're going to, is when you start to expand and you realize, oh, we've been really relying on institutional knowledge rather than documented processes. So slightly larger, than that husband-wife couple. I would say we're looking at a few hundred calls to a few thousand calls a month, and that could be per location.
Yep.
And that, so on the scenario you gave where, let's say you're expanding into a new location and you've got some call center staff who were able to do it. It's institutional, it's tribal knowledge. They overhear something and then they train and now they can't anymore. That brings me to another question. What happens if our listeners are listening and they have call center staff, but they're kind of pushing the limits of the staff that they have now? Is this replacing their staff or augmenting their staff?
It is their choice, but we would almost never recommend ripping and replacing, especially in the beginning. We want to have, an easy introduction to Smith.ai. So if you already have people in place, then we can be overflow and after hours, because we know that daytime can get overwhelmed.
Right.
And after hours is way too expensive to have like that staff on rotation. You're almost never doing that. So it is far better to have the same team on overflow and after hours. Sometimes what we see is like multiple different vendors. There's some offshore after hours solution. And then there's
We've seen that
some staff rotating during the day that you're the backup, but you're like the director of marketing or something. Like, why are you the backup? Well, because no one else can answer. I mean, things like that are put in place all the time. So overflow and after hours can be unified and handled under Smith.ai. Or if you don't have a solution, or you just have piecemeal solutions, like it's part of someone's job and it's part of someone else's job, and they really should be focused on other things, then that's where we would say, like, let's come in and replace that, because those people are not going to be, missing those jobs. They have more important things to do, but we're not looking to displace anybody.
And I wanted to sort of underline a point that you made earlier that we might not have spent enough time talking about. Smith.ai, you are talking about inbound phone calls, follow-up phone calls that are outbound from a web form submission. You're also you're manning the chat agent on people's websites. Is there any channel that I missed?
Yeah.
So inbound, outbound phone calls, text.
Text. I mean, any channel where you get a lead submission, that you could send that to us, basically through an API connection, like a webhook. That would be available to you, right? So there are some other channels where you would be able to get a lead submission. It might not be on your website, but you get a notification about it. We could also call back that lead.
So would that maybe be for like a third-party aggregator lead that got pushed into your CRM? Smith.ai can hop on a call and make an outbound follow-up phone call to that prospect instantly, and then weed out the crap, because we hear that a lot of those third-party aggregator lead quality, they're chasing a bunch of nonsense, and so you can filter that out for them.
That's sometimes the most important thing, is that we are screening that lead and only, transferring or scheduling the one that's really viable. And we could have different rules. I mean, maybe during the day we transfer those calls. If we don't successfully transfer it, then we schedule that call back. Maybe it's not, a full consultation we're scheduling. We're just scheduling that 15-minute call with your team to make sure that driving out to your home or booking a bigger meeting makes sense, right? And that you're not relying on us for the full screening. Maybe there's a few other questions that you want to ask, and we're not going to take that away from you. So it's really to whatever specs you define for us.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm 99% sure your pricing is on your website.
It is. Yeah.
Totally. And so if anybody's listening, I mean, and you guys do have several different options. So, I mean, it's not the cheapest, but it's also, it's not in not affordable. Like, I mean, and for anybody who's thinking, I can't afford this, like, I would argue you can't afford not to.
You're affording it in a different way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying for it already, but that payment is wasted on lost leads.
It really is.
Think about the money that, for our listeners, think about the money that you are spending right now on the leads that you're generating through whatever campaigns. If you're buying them from aggregators, and if you're getting them through word of mouth referrals, or you're running Google ad campaigns or Facebook campaigns, you are spending money to generate those leads. Yeah. You might be in Costco. You could be in Sam's Club. Yeah. You could be doing canvassing. All of these things that you do to generate leads. And then you go back to your example at the beginning. You put that ice cream cone, you put that ice cream on the cone, and then you stand in the sun and you let it melt.
Right.
And then we're on the other end, just so frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had conversations with clients and we're like, why are we running call ads? Why? Like, why?
Yeah. Click to call ads
like,
that
why?
we configure on Google. We're configuring them and you guys don't answer the phone.
Right. And you're certainly not going to follow up with them.
Like, it creates a lot of tension, right? I mean, it's so much tension to be on either side of that conversation, because you're both frustrated that there's this middle gap that exists that hasn't been solved, but it's available. It's like a requirement if you're running an ad campaign or spending anything on marketing, that you have the handshake of, okay, the lead came in, well, who's going to handle it, right? Like, that needs to be an agreement, between client and agency from the get-go, that like, we're going to generate these leads. Often you have capacity conversations, like, how many leads can you handle? How many more jobs do you need booked? But we don't talk about like what the mechanism is that brings the job in, which is that funnel, the sales funnel, that determines, well, how many jobs are you going to bring in if we get you 100 more calls a month, or 1,000 more calls a month, or whoever knows how many calls. Well, how many can you convert, and how are you converting that? And how do you make sure that that conversion rate holds true every single day, because it needs to be consistent?
Yeah, that is fantastic. I feel like you're such an amazing resource for our listeners. So for people who are listening that are like, this sounds great, I'd like to learn more, you're going to go to Smith.ai and then walk us through, Maddy, what does that look like? They fill out a form, they schedule a demo, like what's going to happen?
So you can sign up instantly online. If you choose the AI receptionist path, then you'll go through an online sign up, and you can actually start playing around with your account, or you can set up an onboarding call where we can play around with your account for you. Just kidding. We know a little bit more than just to play around. And then if you are looking for dedicated live agents, keeping in mind that AI receptionist does have human agent backup. If you just want live agents and that's more your comfort zone, then you will have a consultation call with our team. We'll talk through your use case, your needs, and build a plan that's right for you. But in either case, you can go ahead and get that first step started to either get set up or schedule that call.
And the money back guarantee is for all of your services, or the AI agents, or the live agents?
All services for 30 days. Yep. And we'll have you up and running much, much faster. Like, it takes, between hours for the AI receptionist, sometimes even minutes if your solution is simple. And you could do that yourself. Or with the human agents, it's a few days. So you really get to have the full experience of that 30-day money back guarantee.
I feel like this is such a no-brainer. I mean, if you are spending money to generate leads and you don't have the infrastructure in place to answer those inbound leads immediately, qualify them and turn them into appointments, go to Smith.ai, get started right now.
Yeah.
Get it configured. And with this money back guarantee, it does really feel like a no-brainer. I guarantee you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is what we're here for. And that is a lot of why we are not the cheapest solution, because you might say, well, if I'm setting it up myself, I'm doing the legwork. Like, we are always here for you to support your legwork, or to take on some of that legwork ourselves. We have a solutions team. We have the integrations expertise. We have the availability of customer support teams that some of these other answering services, they just have not made as much investment in that service level as we have over the last decade. So we really understand that this is an area of our expertise and not necessarily yours. So you can lean hard on us for, your needs in that respect.
Amazing. Cool. Thank you. I know we found you guys because it's a pain point for our clients.
It is.
We wanted to share it with our listeners. I'm sure it's a pain point for them as well. So Smith, like the last name, what is the reason behind Smith? And then I'll let you go.
The reason is one, it's universally recognizable as for everyone, right? Smith is sort of like that moniker that we give, John Smith, almost a fake name, but it's universally recognized. It could be anyone. It's non-specific to any background, right? And then it's also the craftsman that we believe that we serve in serving, home services, any solution, any service in the marketplace that represents a craftsman, right? Like blacksmith, like et cetera. So it's representing the craft of business that we serve.
Amazing. Smith.ai. Go there today. I bet
sign
Maddy,
up, get started.
You can connect with Maddy on LinkedIn. We'll have all the information in our show notes as well. But Maddy, thank you so much. What an awesome tool.
Thank you for having me.
Take us out.
All right. So this has been a fabulous conversation. We're always happy to have guests and bring resources and ideas and tips to our listeners. If you give us 20 or 30 minutes, we're going to give you some actionable advice. Be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review. And until next time, we'll catch you on Digital Marketing for Contractors. Thanks a lot for listening.
Digital Marketing for Contractors is created by Fat Cat Strategies. For more information, visit fatcatstrategies.com.